Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I'm Kathleen, and today Larry and I are here with Ryan Ladue. Hi, Ryan.
Hello.
Hey, Ryan.
Thank
how's
you
it
for
going?
joining us.
It's great. Going well.
Good, good. Well, it's a beautiful day out there, although this morning I was sure we were in like this raw winter, and now it's sunny and gorgeous. So North Carolina, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Snowing in Chicago today.
Oh, well, I'm glad we're here then. Well, Ryan, thank you for joining us. And tell us, when did you first get into the acting bug?
I started in high school. I think about halfway through my freshman year, I had wanted to before. I had looked at the theater stuff in elementary school prior to that, but it wasn't. I don't know. I think I was just too nervous to get into it at that point. I was doing sports, playing soccer, basketball, whatever. But in high school is when I really started and just dove in all the way at that point. Like didn't have time for sports anymore and focused just on the acting.
Now, where did you go to high school?
In Vermont.
Vermont, okay.
Yeah. So like I said, my grade school, I went to a K through 8. So that was a big grade school, and there was a theater program, but it was just like, in the gym and like whatever they could kind of throw together. And I didn't do it yet at that point, but in high school there was an actual auditorium and there was classes, and so I really got into it at that point.
Now, when I went to drama class at my high school, we were not the hip kids. The hip kids did not take drama.
Yeah, no, I think that's the same anywhere. I mean, except at like performing arts schools, maybe.
Yeah,
right.
But there was an easy in, and I don't remember if it was the first show I did. I think it probably was. It was an easy in because we had a very sort of set schedule of shows, and it was a musical every other year, a big show one year and a musical the other year. But also every year there was a competition between grades. We called it Junior Jamboree. And it was just freshmen versus sophomores and juniors versus seniors. But so that's the easy in where it's like, all right, it's only the people in your grade, your class, doing this show. And those were shorter shows. They were, half hour, 45-minute shows. So that was the easiest way to start when it's like you're right with the other people at your level.
Yeah.
Right. Sure.
What was the first show you were in, not counting high school?
Well, while I was in high school, but not in high school, like not as a high school show, I did with some community theater group. I did Into the Woods and Midsummer Night's Dream.
Oh wow!
Oh, nice.
It was the Baker and Demetrius, and those. And
Wow.
I think Midsummer was first of those two, but I had already done several shows in high school at that point.
That's great. That's great. Did you have a mentor?
Yeah, kind of. I mean, obviously, high school drama teacher, Joan Grant was, I really admire kind of what she did because it was people who had never done anything before.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like to kind of take it to a sports level, it's the fundamentals, you watch a lot of high school performers and you're like, oh, they're having fun. But there's times where you can tell like, oh, they've put in the work. They know what they're doing.
Mm-hmm. Even
even if it's not the best, it's like you can see the fundamentals, and that's really what she focused on.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't get to play too much, that you gotta know, you gotta crawl before you can walk, right? Or walk before you can run.
Right.
So I think like she focused on that a lot more. As I got into college, I had some really great teachers. None who like I got close enough with that I would refer to as a mentor, but I just had some teachers that I really admired as performers and also just as what they taught me. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And has anyone ever given you great advice about acting or theater in general?
Sure. Yeah. I feel like, every show or every director, every performer, you always get new advice. I learned a lot Patrick Torres, working with him a couple times now. I really like the way he directs, and especially because I've done smaller shows with him. I mean, he's done a lot of the big musicals at RLT and stuff, but I did the Glass Menagerie and the Whipping Man with him, and like those are such small character focused shows that it was really cool to work with him and to work with the other actors in those shows. Specific advice, I don't know, but like I know one thing we focused on a ton in the Whipping Man was just breathing, and that was something on day one when we went into it. Was one of Patrick's focus on it was just character breathing and how you breathe and what that does to you emotionally and physically. Where it brings it changes your voice, it changes the way you move, and especially like for me in the Whipping Man, where for anyone who hadn't seen it, I mean, the last 2/3 of the show, I'm not moving. I lost a leg, so I'm stationary. So like the breath plays such a huge role in that, and just listening and lying there for so much of it.
Wow,
that was an incredible show.
It was a fun show. That was
incredible.
Yeah, and I mean, Chris and Philip were so good in that. That was just a really cool. I just love a small intimate show like that where there's only 3 of us, and I feel like we did a really good job of filling the space with 3 of us.
Well, and the audience was really on top of you, which made it, come so close into life to us too.
Yeah, you really like. It's really the fourth wall in that one, where like the audience is every wall.
Every wall,
the wall have eyes in that show.
It's so nice when the other actors you're playing are so strong. You just say, okay, I'm just here for the ride. I'm just into this person. I'm not really acting. I'm just playing off what they're really giving me because they're so strong,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Ryan, do you have a favorite actor or actress?
So I was thinking about this. I was thinking about this a lot. Number one, Paul Newman that's an easy number one.
Yeah.
But I was thinking about why him, and it got me thinking about other actors. And I feel like someone like Paul Newman, what he did so well was sort of an effortlessness. You don't see the struggle, the work, but it's there.
Right.
I really like actors who can do less like that, and like even someone like Brad Pitt, who could easily coast on being Brad Pitt. He's got this cool quality about him that like when he does something different, it doesn't come across as trying too hard. There's a lot of well-regarded actors who sometimes I just feel like do too much.
Right.
Like I just don't want to see all of that.
Too intense.
What's that?
Too intense.
Yeah, well, not even just too intense, but like just doing too much where it doesn't feel like a person anymore.
Right.
And I feel like Paul Newman always felt like a person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And even someone like Gary Oldman, who's an amazing character actor, and he disappears into these roles and he does massively different things. He still feels like a real person when he's these like cartoonishly over the top characters.
Right.
And I don't know what quality it is, but if it's something I could figure out how to emulate that, like,
right.
Oh, it's amazing.
Right. Well, and it is that they do the work, but they're so confident and relaxed in their role, I guess. It just comes across.
Right.
Yeah.
So, do you have a worst audition story you'd like to share with us? Or a bad one, anyway?
I do. I have a terrible one that I can remember. I don't remember what company it was. They were doing Midsummer Night's Dream at Cocoa Booth. I don't know if anyone remembers that a few years back, probably maybe 6-7 years ago. I was like, well, I've done Midsummer Night's Dream before, and I had decided like a day or two before to audition for it, And I'm not one of those actors who just has like, oh, here's the Shakespeare monologue that I have ready to go. Like I try to tailor my monologues or auditions to what I'm doing, to what show I'm doing. If I can research the show or read the show first. But I knew Midsummer, and I found a monologue, but I found it a little too late. And I went in and I was just not ready. I like, you can, on the car ride there and the day before, you can feel like you've got it all down. And then when you're there in front of the people, oh, that was rough. That was rough.
I hear you.
And then, there's always, we film, tape auditions at home all the time now. We've got a nice setup downstairs to tape auditions. And there's always auditions that you tape when it's like, not necessarily that they went poorly or went bad, because, we can always retape, but there's always ones where it's like, why am I auditioning for this? This isn't me.
I know.
It was a few years back. I auditioned for, I think it was the Originals, one of those like CW vampire shows. Right. They had the Vampire Diaries and the Originals, and there's another one now. And I auditioned for one of those as a werewolf, and it was like just about to transform into a werewolf scene. I was like, it'd be fun. It'd be great. I would love to get a role on a big show like that. But I'm not in CW werewolf shape. Yeah. You've seen any of these CW superhero or supernatural shows? Like, those guys are big. They're ripped. Like, especially a werewolf. You're gonna be tearing out of your clothes.
I'm not ready for that. I'm so old that they were doing Silver Bullet auditions down in Wilmington. I was in my early 20s, and my roommate, she was an actress, and she came home and said, "We both been cast in Silver Bullet as werewolves." And we got all excited. We finally were going to get a movie part. And then she came back a week later and said, "We didn't fit the costume, so we're not cast."
Oh my God. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. What are you gonna do?
All I can do is keep working out. I can keep trying, but
I know.
I can play a vampire right now. I can do a vampire now.
Yeah, you're too short.
Werewolf, I'm not quite there yet.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite show you've been in?
Favorite. Well, obviously, we talked about The Whipping Man.
Right.
That's definitely top two. The last two shows I did, which are now both, over 2 years ago, a few years ago, just because I work in a restaurant. I don't have a ton of time for theater. I focus much more on film and commercial work now. But the last two shows I did were The Whipping Man and Fool for Love.
Right.
And those are hard ones to top.
I know.
I've looked at other auditions and other shows, and I think, well, is it worth my time after that? Like, because I lose a lot of money whenever I do a play. It's fun. It's so rewarding, but I do lose money. So I would say, Fool for Love and Whipping Man, and then just other shows that have just been really fun. The Marriage of Bet and Boo is one that I just love the script of that show. We had a really cool design for it. It's so bizarre. Just the absurdism of that one was really fun.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, is there a role you've always you really want to play?
No, I this is another one that I was kind of thinking about, and there's nothing that really like that. I'm just seeing that like, no, never mind. I forgot about this. There was one. there was one that I did think about, and then I just forgot it. Jess and I saw a show in New York that a teacher of mine from college in Chicago had directed, and he's an amazing director. He was a great teacher, David Cromer, who has since won Tonys for The Band's Visit. He directed The Band's Visit. Which I haven't seen that, but he's got a MacArthur Genius Grant after I was out of college and everything too. So like, incredible director, really great teacher. But we saw a show that he had directed off Broadway when we were in New York called The Effect. And I have the script for it now, but it's a really cool show, and it's a largely two-person cast. There's two other people in the cast, but it's primarily focused on these two, about two people who are in a drug trial together. And the drug raises, I forget what chemical, like the love chemical in your brain or whatever. So the two people start to fall in love, but then they find out one of them is on a placebo.
Oh.
And so like how much, so there's a lot of science to it, because there's also the doctor character and the psychologist, but the emotion is so big and so intense, the way just how hard they love each other in this live-in medical trial. So that's kind of a dream role. That's one that I would really love to play.
Wow.
Take some time off work for that one.
Yes. Yeah. I know we talked about Whipping Man and your co-actors there, but when you are on the stage, what do you hope those actors you're on stage with give you back or are, so that you can relax into your role?
You always just hope that you're on the same page. Mm-hmm. You want to be, and that's where all the rehearsal comes into play. The biggest thing is that you're both doing the same show, so you're able to play. You got the lines down, you got the blocking down. You know where your emotions are, but that needs to be able to shift if something hits differently, because things will hit differently. And there are definitely actors where, and Philip and Chris were both great about that, where like we would get, you go deep into each other's eyes with things, and like suddenly something would be different. Mm-hmm. And that's, you just want somebody who will listen to you and who's not so set in what they're doing. Mm-hmm. As long as they're willing to like shift when it's the right thing to do, and not, you don't want to throw people off. That's never the goal. But when somebody can actually shift and change when it happens, mm-hmm. That's so great to play with somebody when they can do that.
All right.
Yeah. That they're listening.
Yeah. Well, there's a in the play Noise is Off, there's that one character who just says her lines no matter what is happening. And meanwhile, hell is breaking loose everywhere. And she's just like, the door is open, or I need to do, and just oblivious to the fact that the show is not the same anymore. We've goofed mm-hmm. up, and she just keeps giving her lines, and so it is very funny.
Right. Yeah. And that's gotta be just, it's commentary, I guess, on other.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I have a real short story I was doing of Mice and Men back in '97. And the guy playing Curly had been playing, when he found out about his wife dying, he'd been playing the moment angry every single night, angry. And the last night, before the last performance, the director gave him a note, and he went completely different. And I remember thinking, wow, this is great. I had a whole new reaction to it,
Mm-hmm.
Right.
It was just nice to say, hey, wow, I'm actually going this way now because what he just gave us and stuff.
Right. Wow.
We all have great moments on stage. Could you tell us one of yours?
Yeah, definitely. In Fool for Love, there's a big fight scene when, I don't remember the character's name, but Josh Henderson played him when I did the show with Diana McQueen.
Right.
And Josh Henderson's like her date who shows up, and he comes in and we're in this hotel room, and then this fight just breaks out. Like who's this guy in the room with this woman I'm supposed to be taking out, and just there's this massive fight. That was so fun to put together because it was such a small show. Heather Strickland helped us choreograph it, but also just like we got to to play with how we were going to do it. So like it would be me and Heather with her and Josh's role, and we'd kind of go through some things, and then Josh and Heather, and then, you know, and then me and Josh, and we kind of played through it over and over again, figuring out what works, and what looks good, what physically works. And, you know, we use the whole stage. It was a small stage because it's supposed to be a cramped motel room. But that fight was so fun. And it, you know, people said it looked great. And one other moment in that same show, there's a moment where I'm swinging the lasso, and just to be a dick about it, the character, he throws it around her and just is supposed to catch the other character. I couldn't get it. You know, I worked on the lasso quite a bit, and, you know, whatever. At that point, the character's drunk already. He doesn't get it. It doesn't hurt the show, but I got it one night. I just managed to get it one night. I actually got Diana, and even her face in that moment, you know, you see the surprise in it, because it's this almost gleeful surprise, but it shifts into the anger of the character. That was great. That was so fun.
It's like the one time the hat makes it on the hat rack during a whole run of the show. It's like, hey, yeah, it made it.
Yeah, exactly. When you have to not, like, it's always supposed to do that. That's what it does when I throw it there. But I love the physical stuff. Any of those like fight scenes. Oh, Midsummer Night's Dream in the Rose Garden at RLT, with the Seed Art group. There's so much just running, and then, you know, that's a pared down version of the show. We didn't do the entire script, but all the physical stuff and the fights and the running and sprinting and diving behind bushes. I really love getting to fully physically embody a character like that, where you're just go crazy physically.
Right. At RLT, we used to always hire David McClutchy to teach a fight camp for teens in the summer. And, you know, David is amazing, and we just would let him go. And then we would come to the open classroom to see what it was that he taught them that week. And I remember one year just sitting there and literally thinking everyone on the stage was getting hurt, because they were like literally taking chairs and whacking each other. And I couldn't believe how real it looked. I mean, I know it's theater magic, but when you think those are kids getting hurt, my heart stopped a million times. And I was like, that was brilliant.
Yeah.
Oh,
so no, when you think those are kids getting hurt, you laugh that much hard. No, I'm gonna.
Yeah.
Well, Raleigh actor David Ring told me years ago that he was doing a play, and the other actor would hit him so hard every night, slap him so hard. And one night, somebody from the audience said, "Oh, that's not real."
Wow.
I've taken a real slap or two for a show. When it's only one, obviously it's not ideal, but I've done it once or twice, just like, all right, let's do it.
Wow.
I'd rather be slapped than to slap someone.
Oh, absolutely.
Right. Yeah.
100%.
Definitely.
100%. That's too much.
And Kathleen slaps us as a director all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
She gives notes.
That's right.
That's emotional.
Ryan, is there a really funny thing that ever went wrong on the stage while you were in a show?
Yes. When I was in high school, when I did Into the Woods, there was one night that the show just everything fell apart. It was a complete disaster of a night. Our Jack, who was played by a young lady, we had a young woman playing Jack during Giants in the Sky, which is a big solo moment, and she's, you know, walking out and Giants in the Sky. She walked off the front of the stage, recovered, but like through some tears, got back up and finished the song.
Oh my God.
You know, we could hear that backstage. At another point in the same show, the same night, we had a person playing the cow, playing Milky White. You know, sometimes people use a prop, sometimes it's a person, whatever. We had a person. At one point, we couldn't get through an entire scene just because there was a bunch of grass shoved in her mouth. So we were just all cracking up laughing. And I think in the same scene, the witch is there, and you know, the baker and his wife are having the conversation with the witch about what they need to get and all this stuff. And her prosthetic nose starts to fall off. So rather than letting it go or taking it off and moving on, she kind of just held it in place.
Yeah.
And just kept going through the scene. So we were just in tears laughing through that. Yeah, that was a disaster of a night, but it was still a fun show.
I think I might have done something like this to hold it up.
Yeah, like a fake mustache. You know, you see the mustaches on SNL.
Right.
Every time somebody has a mustache, it always starts to flap off eventually, and then they.
Oh my God, that's hysterical.
But yeah,
and once you start laughing, then that's it.
Yeah. When the putty nose is falling off, what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
And you talk about eating. I think the last show I was eating on stage might have been Kathleen's show, and I kept forgetting to take small bites. So I would put something in my mouth and then chew as fast as I possibly could because my line was coming up. You know.
Well, I did that in Laughter on the 23rd Floor. We had the whole breakfast spread out. Yeah. You know, we had cheese danishes and bagels and whatever. But I just made it a character thing because I had there was, you know, I'm sitting around and just kind of pop in with a sarcastic line once in a while. I didn't have like the drive of any of the scenes really. So I would just scarf down danishes and bagels waiting for it. I just made it a character thing. That's where he gets his food.
That's right.
Yeah.
I remember spelling your name purposely wrong on that set when you remember
on the notes?
Yeah.
The skit notes, yeah.
Now, Ryan, if you couldn't be an actor, what else would you want to do in this theater profession? We have a lawnmower outside.
Oh, okay.
That's it. I want to be the lawnmower. I don't know. I mean, I've done a little bit of backstage stuff, especially in college. I did a little bit. I really admire the makeup people. You know, there was a show on Sci-Fi Channel or something about all like special effect makeup, and the competitions are so cool. Just watching all the aliens and the creatures and stuff that they come up with. But my talent doesn't lie there. You know, the fight choreo stuff is super fun. I love doing that. You know, because that's still a collaborative art still, when you get to work with the other actors or with the fight choreographer, or you know, you get to play with different toys.
That's right.
So I love that stuff. And obviously, you know, I went to film school and acting at the same time. But I think everybody going into film school, everybody goes in thinking, oh, I want to direct. And I think I realized while I was there that that's not really what I do want to do. You know, I get to do a little bit of directing here and there. You know, Jess and I tape auditions at home all the time, and when we either of us get a good long one that we can actually play with, you know, we'll give each other directions and say, well, okay, we'll try this, and you know, I've learned a lot from her just on like the best language to use, and I feel like from a director like Patrick as well. You know, there's certain language and like questions to ask. You know, you don't want to say, oh, we'll do it this way, but it's more like, you know, how you want to ask the questions to get the actors thinking about how something works or what the relationship is. You know, I feel like when the little bits of directing are enough for me. Like, whereas like I don't think I want the pressure of a full show. So I don't know if I answered the question, but like, yeah, makeup or fight stuff is fun.
Cool.
I had a choice of least I thought I had a choice of going to acting school or film school, and I picked film school. Just I didn't have the confidence at the time, but but all my focus was on acting in film, even though I was studying to be a director.
Honestly, yeah, same. I went for both, majored in film and minored in acting, and I just really love debt.
Yeah.
That's
I know. Now, if you could go back in time and talk to your younger self, what advice would you tell yourself other than don't go to film school?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, that's probably it. Like going to Chicago was super great. I moved to Chicago the summer after I graduated high school. And if I could do that again, and not that I didn't get anything from school. Like I said, I had some amazing teachers, David Cromer, definitely being one of them. Scott Olson and Tom Mulo were two other great acting teachers that I had who do a lot in the Chicago theater scene. And so I got stuff from them, but if there was any way for me to, like, obviously there's a way to, if I could have just moved to Chicago and tried to get into the theater scene, or even trying to get into some of the film scene in Chicago, which I never really did. I did a little bit of extra work while I was there. But like to really do that, I was working full time and in school full time. So I had so little time, and whatever, if that's an excuse or, but like so little time to do more that, I would have loved to have just lived there and just taken the city in.
Right.
And taken in the art scene, just not as a student.
Right.
Oh yeah.
I know over the years when I was in my 20s, people say, let's just the three of us move to LA, move to New York. But I knew my personality that I'd try to get a job as fast as possible. And then 10 years would pass and I'd still be at that same job, not going to auditions because I was working too much.
Right. Yeah. And I get that. And that's,
balance.
The tricky thing now is, like, with the film community, with things kind of ever shifting, like, is North Carolina has gone through periods of being a great place to be for it.
Right.
And it looks like we're kind of getting back to that. There's a lot of features and some series that are starting to shoot here. And the HB2 stuff is out of the way because that hurt us. That knocked us back.
Right.
The bathroom bill, if everyone remembers that. That so many films and production companies left the state after that.
Yeah.
So like Georgia still has so much going on.
Why?
Well, I mean, because they've got the studio system there. They've got a studio system, and they've got people like Tyler Perry who are like,
well, yeah,
who support the heck out of it.
They're just they're not on the same political side as, I mean, you could fault Georgia the same way you fault North Carolina for their political views,
Yeah.
If not more.
Absolutely. But Atlanta is sort of is the hub of it. Yeah. Where, North Carolina is so great because what works in North Carolina is the variety, the geographical variety. Right. So Raleigh's a good place to be for all of that. But, it'd be nice to be able to do it a little more full time.
Right. Yeah. What's the first thing you want to do when we get out of this pandemic and we go back to a normal life?
Honestly, my day-to-day hasn't changed a ton. I wear a mask every day, but because I work in a restaurant, dine in, tip your servers, tip your takeout. So no, my life hasn't changed a whole lot because I work full time. We're taping auditions here. There's been some really good commercial auditions that have started to come through.
Okay.
And hopefully with all these movies that are starting to come to North Carolina, it'd be great to get some auditions on those. So there's nothing that I need to, like. There's things that got canceled. Jess and I were supposed to go to Disney World in May? I don't remember. We were going to do the half marathon in Disney World.
Oh, wow.
Nice. Yeah, the Star Wars half, which we'd paid for, and now I guess we have credit or something with Disney World. But
So there, you need to do that. You need to.
So when's the right time to go back to Disney World? No lines right now, I guess.
Right. Oh my gosh.
But also no rules in Florida, right? Florida's a
know.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, Ryan, thank you so much for joining us and letting us into your life and finding more about you. I'd only really seen you on stage, so it was very nice to meet you officially.
Yes, yeah, you as well. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Larry, thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome. It's great seeing you again, Ryan. I love you.
Yeah. And someday we'll see each other outdoors for real.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.